So back in 1985, there was a TV show that used to come on Saturday mornings, so aimed at kids, boys and girls alike. It was mostly seen as a boys' show. It's called Thundercats. Thundercats. Yeah, it was cool. The story took its time. The pacing was nice, and so they allowed some development for both characters and characters' interactions, and even the bad guys had nice subplots. It was a little step forward from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, which is the only other comparable title that I can think of in the same vein of fantasy, although the other one was more sword and sorcery. This one was more action adventure, space action adventure driven. It started off in space and then ends up being quite grounded. But so now we had a reboot back in the early 2000s. Was nice as well because it actually I think up to certain points it was actually superior, narratively speaking, to the original, because the story took given a little bit more time, and it was really nicely written. It was really nice to get involved in it. And now we have a third one. I no idea what this is. It's quite funny. I mean, this trailer is quite funny. But I mean, come on, you guys have seen the art on these other shows. I mean, how amazing is this art? I mean, come on. I mean, this beautiful anime-inspired art. I mean, the original Thundercats was produced in America, just like the second version, but it was actually subcontracted to a Japanese team of animators, and that's why the sorry, I'm so sleepy. That's why the title alone is amazing. The opening titles are so dynamic. They're so incredibly well thought. They're spectacularly dynamic. I mean, the way they introduce the characters with that transition between each one, that fading out, and so basically the both credit sequences are very similar. So this second series gives you a little bit more to explore. And then the way that the music theme actually has a break, and then you introduce the villains. That's great. It's just so good. But anyway, on the whole, the series doesn't live or die with the actual credit sequence. You know, the actual episode, the meat inside has to be worth something. And I am looking at this, and well, clearly things have been dumbed down and simplified. Not really sure what the target audience is. They must be aiming at really, really, really young ones, while the previous target audience was teen to adult, mostly teen. Well, this was the 80s, so yeah, it was mostly teen. Even the new series, you know, is like late infant to early teens, I would say. But I always want to give credit where credit is due, and because there's always two sides to any argument, I always want to analyze things a little bit further before passing judgment. Now, I'm sure there's a place for this kind of animation. I mean, why not? Thundercats quite funny. The castle of the bad guys has the tongue sticking out, and now there's a fight, and you know, there's a lot of fun little things going on here. So I won't discredit this completely yet. Now, is it a disservice to the original and the previous version as well? I'll probably say it is. I'll probably say this is not going to sit well with certain fans at all. I mean, it already is not sitting well. It already is being bashed. And, you know, I can understand, because it's something I've been myself complaining for a long time, that, you know, is so-called mediocrity. I mean, the more dumbed down the product is, the more popular it becomes, because that's society we have, and the people in charge of culture and entertainment just keep on doubling down on the domino effect. Um, let's not forget, though, that for something to look bad, it usually, or let's say to look average, it usually takes a little bit more work than you might think. And well, but what's happened to your hair, man? What is that? What the hell is that? Is that a ponytail on top of your head? What? You see, this is the problem. It's these hipsters with their rolling eyes. I mean, well, there's no question about it that this kind of animation, this style of drawing, is pretty dumbed down, and obviously, this is what has most fans pissed off about. Now, who's to say that the end result isn't actually funny? Might be funny, but why not do your own property? Come up with a new, fresh property that could kind of be based on a or influenced by something done previously. As it happens all the time anyway. So I don't know what these people have a problem making their own product, coming up with something new, something slightly fresher. I mean, listen, the original Thundercats is suburb animation. It's hand drawn, cell by cell, with lots of elements, very dynamic, and everything about it is superb. And we cannot forget, nonetheless, that it's a TV show. TV show done for a fraction of the budget of most current animated shows. And this stuff now is something digitally drawn, easy peasy, sketchy looking, and and then you can blame the fans. Now, I mean, again, I give enough credit to whatever team works on whatever product. Don't judge the product by its cover yet. It might have some value to it, and maybe the fans sometimes they cherry pick too much. But unquestionably, this is the same controversy that happened with the Ghostbusters 2016 remake, and to a series of other properties that have been grabbed by hipsters, and new makeup has been applied to it. I mean, it's an easy gig to grab something that has already a built-in audience, property that is not that expensive, just like Ghostbusters. Thundercats is something that has been uh, gaining dust on the shelves. I think it's still owned by Warner Brothers, and then it's just waiting to be touched when nobody wants to touch it. So they're not that expensive properties, and then it just becomes easier for you because you have guaranteed sales for channels and merchandise, and you don't have to put that much effort in it, isn't it? You don't have to put that much effort, just like Paul Feig's movie turned out. This is clearly looking that it's going to go the same way. But let's wait and see. That's it for today. Bye bye.